Have you ever set some New Year's resolutions only to realize that they failed after a really short amount of time? I mean, I get it. And that's why I don't make any New Year's resolutions. But in this video, I want to talk to you about and show you and explain to you what I'm doing instead to reach my goals, which I have done successfully in the past. And for that, I'm actually going to take you out of this beautiful background here and into my home at my desk where it's all gonna happen. I'm here at my desk and I'm going to share with you why I don't do New Year's resolutions and what I do instead, as I promised you earlier. Now, I know that New Year's resolutions don't really work for me, and they don't seem to work for a lot of people either. I pulled up some numbers just to prove my case here, and I wrote them down because I don't think I can remember them. In a 2019 government survey, 40% of the people surveyed made resolutions. Only 16% kept all of the resolutions. 44% kept some. Now, 23% quit by the end of the first week, and 43% quit by the end of January, which means that we all go in strong after the holidays. Maybe we have eaten more than we usually do, and we have exercised a little less because of the parties and all the good food that we had. And then we say, oh, I'm gonna join a gym and get a gym membership, and then, I don't know, life happens and we quit. Now, I know that I'm one of those people that don't do well with New Year's resolutions. If it works for you, that's great. Keep your New Year's resolutions. However, I use something that is a little bit different and a little bit more specific, and it's called setting SMART goals. And I like to do this session every year at the beginning of the year, right around the 1st of January. Now, this is obviously a little bit later. I like to sit down with a cup of green tea, because that's just really cozy on a cool, windy, cold day here in Northern California. And I also like to write it down. Now, this is a really important aspect for me because it just sticks so much better than if I just sit on the couch and think about something, but writing it down and not just typing it on a computer, because that's a little bit different. The physical act of taking and I like to use a fountain pen that I've had since I was a teenager. It's a German brand. It's called Pelikan, and I've got their purple ink because purple is just such a royal color. So I like to make this a little bit more of a meaningful, and I'm trying to look for the word here. Sometimes my English is second language. I'm looking for a certain word that describes what I'm trying to say to you. However, so it actually marks the occasion a little bit more than if I just took any old pencil that I had lying around. So I filled up my fountain pen. I sit down with my notepad and I start my SMART goals. This is not my own creation. I'm going to be leaving a link in the description box below where you can also find this and a little bit more of the background. But SMART stands for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time-oriented. Now, I've done this a few years in a row and I find it really effective. I've added a little bit more to it, fleshed it out a little bit more, but they have found that college students who set SMART goals at the beginning of, I guess, the semester or their college career were more successful by a greater percentage, I want to say maybe 40%, than those who didn't. And I'm going to walk you through two pretty popular examples, and I'm gonna, for the first one, use a very shameless plug of using my own content as an example. So we're gonna write this down: SMART goal, and you can do this for any number of goals you have. Let's say you want to eat healthier. That's the specific goal. Eat healthier. And a lot of us have that right after the holidays, that we feel like we need to eat more healthy food. We make it measurable. So that's the how. And that is where I'm going to flesh this out a little bit. The how, and we'll talk about that in a second. How. Attainable. We make it realistic and reasonable. And we're going to talk about that in a second too. Realistic and reasonable. Relevant. Well, we want to be healthier and we want to eat healthier because then we are going to be healthier. And time oriented. And that is with a deadline. Okay, so, and then I like to add obstacles and how to overcome them. Okay, so eat healthier. Let's say you want to learn how to bake sourdough bread. Learn how to bake sourdough bread. Measurable, we could say we want to bake 1 bread a week. 1 bread per week. Attainable, well, is that realistic? Yeah, you have the flour, you know how to bake, you have a kitchen, you have loaf pans, so I think it's pretty realistic that you could bake 1 bread per week. Relevant, yes, because you want to eat healthier so you can live better, not just longer, but also better. And let's say time-oriented, you say, I want to have it down by the end of March. End of March 2024. Now this will make it a little bit more pressing. I mean, you can give yourself a little bit more time depending on where you're starting from. And here's the obstacles. Let's say you don't know where to start. And this is where my shameless plug comes in. You could say, well, I need to learn, and I can watch Anya's sourdough videos. By the way, I'll leave a link for my sourdough playlist below. You could also take take Anya's Anya's sourdough course, which would be another great option because I will take you by the hand and walk you in my kitchen, essentially virtually, through all the steps of how to make a sourdough starter and how to maintain your sourdough starter, if you get mold on your sourdough starter, and how to keep it, how to bake with it, and any problems that could arise. And there's a private Facebook group, so if you have questions, you can post photos or videos and ask me questions. I'm going to be available over there. So that's another resource that you could take and learn how to bake sourdough bread. And you could say, I want to try once a week. I will also talk about what you can do with bread that came out too dry or didn't turn out well, because there's a lot you can also do with bread that didn't come out well, and then just continue doing it because you set yourself a timeline of March 2024. I also like to add, so you're going to write it down, because writing it down, the steps, what you will do, what videos you watch. I mean, there's other channels that you can watch, there's books you can buy, and sometimes it helps to have an accountability partner. Let's say you could do this with your spouse. It's a great activity to do together. On the weekends, you get together and bake sourdough bread, and then you get to eat it together, and that's really beautiful. You could do it with a child. Children love to bake, and they love to learn how to bake and help in the kitchen, and it's such a great gift you can give them to actually have a skill set when they move out. Or you could have a friend, and let's say once a week you get together and you bake sourdough bread together and share your experiences, and your either you do it in the same kitchen, or you do it over Zoom, or you both take the same recipe and you bake it and then you exchange notes. So that's one thing you can do and use your goal setting. Now let's do another example, because this obviously was around baking, and a lot of people like to exercise more after the holidays, first of the year. And I know from experience that gym memberships shoot up in January because everybody wants to move and exercise. Now, if you wanted to make this your SMART goal here, and you wanted to make specific, you can say, I want to exercise more. You make it measurable. Let's say, and I don't even want to talk about the gym membership, because not everybody has a gym in their area or can afford a gym membership, but there's so many things you can do on your own that will be exercise that doesn't involve a membership or any money. Let's say you want to move a little bit more, and you could say, well, measurable, I'm going to walk 2 miles 3 times a week. And I think that's a pretty attainable, realistic goal for most people. Now, you need to set your goal in reference to where you are right now. If you haven't exercised before, maybe you want to just do 1 mile 4 times or 5 times a week. And maybe you are somebody who's reasonably fit and you say, I would like to learn how to run a marathon. Obviously, you're going to set a different goal and say, well, then I'm going to run, 10 miles every week. And maybe you don't start with 10 miles, but you can write down how over the next 3 months you gradually increase the number of miles you run so many days a week. Relevant, well, because you want to be healthier, maybe you want to lose some weight, maybe you want to live longer or just feel better about yourself. And time oriented, you can say, well, there is a half marathon in my area and I want to be able to run in the half marathon. Or you could say, I want to be able to walk 5 miles a day or 5 miles and walk that in a brisk pace and not be all huffy and puffy and worn out and like gasping for air. And then you can think about your obstacles. So let's say you don't have good running shoes. Okay, so maybe I need to buy some running shoes. Or you think about, well, am I going to do it in the morning or going to do it in the evening? A lot of people are too tired in the evening. Then you try to figure out if you need to do it in the morning. Set your alarm half an hour earlier and go first thing before you even have breakfast. So make that a little bit, think about the obstacles that could happen. Some people live in a very rainy area or cold area. So let's say, here for us in Northern California, it rains a lot and I like to take my dog out even in the rain. So I'm bringing an umbrella, I have a rain jacket, I have rain pants, and I have rubber boots. Rain is no excuse for me and for the dog. I can still get her out and come back and not be completely drenched. It might be something as simple as that. Or you say, well, I travel a lot. What am I going to do when I'm traveling? There's a lot you can do while you're traveling. You can walk around your hotel or wherever you're staying. So just think about what obstacles, because the mind sometimes likes to argue with your conscience and come up with these reasons why you actually can't do it, or why maybe, if I want to sleep in tomorrow, or you wake up in the morning and it's really nice and cozy in the bed. So a lot of people actually put on their exercise clothes before they go to bed and sleep in them, or people have their exercise clothes right by their bed, so they have no excuse whatsoever. Now, you know yourself best and you know what works for you and maybe where your little pain points are and your little, let's say little humps that you need to get over, but writing it down makes it stick a lot better. And then you can enlist your spouse. You can do this with your children. They all love to move. Or you do it with a friend. You have a hiking partner or walking partner and you get together 3 times a week and you walk around the park, or you hike up in the mountains, or whatever you have, right? So there's a lot that you can do. However, I almost want to guarantee you that you will be able to reach your goals with a SMART goal setting. And if there are any goals like baking or cooking or anything that I can do on my channel here and post videos that will help you reach your goal, drop me a comment below. I'd love to hear from you what your obstacles are, what you're trying to learn, what you're trying to get better at, and what you might need a little bit help with, because I would love to help you. I would like to make content that is relevant for you. And with that being said, thank you so much for joining me here at my desk. A little bit different video than usually in my kitchen. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.